On December 10th, Ryan arrived on U.S. soil. And one of my press conferences, I said, could be a really good Christmas. We brought a dad back on his own recording.
A Wisconsin man who apparently staged his own death and left his wife and children behind is now in custody. And apparently, he came back on his own. Ryan Borgwardt was arrested more than 3 months after apparently faking a drowning in an elaborate escape that took him from Wisconsin to Western Europe. Now, as he sits in jail, authorities are preparing to reveal the full scope of his alleged deception and the legal consequences ahead for him, and we're going to break it all down for you right now. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Well, in what is a stunning turn of events in an already stunning case, the Wisconsin man who apparently orchestrated an elaborate scheme to fake his own drowning, leaving behind his wife and 3 children, has been tracked down and arrested after months on the run. Ryan Borgwardt, 45 years old, was taken into custody yesterday afternoon. This is according to the Green Lake County Sheriff's Office.
On December 10th, Ryan arrived on U.S. soil. He was then booked into the correctional facility and is awaiting his initial court appearance. And one of my press conferences, I said, could be a really good Christmas. We didn't give up. We had a great outcome.
Authorities also released this new mugshot of Ryan Borgwardt, where the Wisconsin man can be seen in an orange jumpsuit. Now, at a press conference this morning, the Sheriff Mark Podol, announced that Ryan Borgwardt could face some very severe consequences for his actions.
What were the charging recommendations that you referred to the district attorney's office?
There was a number of them, obstructing.
But maybe the biggest bombshell that came from today is that this guy seemingly returned willingly.
Was he taken into custody by law enforcement at that airport, or did he return to Green Lake and turn himself in?
He returned on his own.
So he turned himself in here at the Green Lake Justice Center yesterday.
Yep.
Now, as for what specifically made him return, we do know it had something to do with his family.
Has he said what compelled him to come back to Wisconsin?
His family, I guess. It was one thing that worked in our favor. We brought a dad back on his own recording.
Though the sheriff's office didn't go into any more detail about that, so that's still a little bit of a question there. But when asked if Borgwardt had any contact with his family since his return, Sheriff Podol declined to comment. Now, what began as a mysterious disappearance in mid-August quickly spiraled into what I will say is one of the most bizarre and jaw-dropping cases we have ever covered here on Sidebar. The man who had seemed like a loving husband, father, living in Watertown, Wisconsin, later revealed himself as something entirely different. An alleged master manipulator with an escape plan that was so elaborate it left authorities and his family just reeling in shock. By the way, we were able to find out more about Ryan Borgwardt on Truthfinder, this powerful background checker that we often use when researching our stories. And Truthfinder revealed information like previous addresses and possible family connections, but it appears Borgwardt has no criminal history. And I will tell you, Law&Crime, we partner with Truthfinder. We use it to get details on people involved in our stories. But look, even if you don't work in true crime, this can just be an excellent resource to give you some peace of mind. It's one of the largest public record search services in the United States. And with a paid subscription service, you can get access to unlimited reports about almost anyone. And by the way, if you're interested right now, you can get 50% off of your first month of confidential background reports. Just go to truthfinder.com/LC Sidebar. So this all began on August 11th when Borgwardt went on a fishing trip in Wisconsin's Green Lake. And this was the last time his family would see him. Well, other than the fact of him coming back now. Now, when his wife Emily didn't hear from him, she grew very concerned and reported him missing the following day. So authorities, they go out there and they discover this overturned kayak. They find his cell phone dumped in the water along with his car that was still parked. And so a natural conclusion would be he drowned. Now, authorities quickly launched this extensive search, combing the lake, the surrounding areas for his body. Borgwardt, nowhere to be found. Until, of course, there was this shocking twist that no one could have prepared for, because in October, police learned that Ryan Borgwardt had crossed into Canada just days after his disappearance. And the most jaw-dropping detail of all, he was still very much alive. Borgwardt's wife handed authorities his laptop. And when they did that, when they saw what was on there, it apparently contained a wealth of information revealing that he seemingly plotted this elaborate escape plan. Authorities learned that in the months leading up to his disappearance, Borgwardt had taken what seems to be several steps to try to cover his tracks. He'd apparently obtained a new passport, purchased a $375,000 life insurance policy. This was months before he apparently staged his death, or allegedly staged his death. And police revealed he even went so far as to wipe his laptop's hard drive, cleared the browsers, changed all the email addresses linked to his bank accounts, funneling or apparently funneling money into a foreign account in preparation for his life abroad. He was also reportedly in contact with an Uzbek woman prior to making his escape, and authorities established contact with a, quote, Russian-speaking woman, which eventually apparently led them to make contact with Borgwardt, though it's unclear if that Russian-speaking woman is in fact the Uzbek woman that he was in contact with. And then you go to November. After months of silence, no word from Ryan Borgwardt, he reveals himself in a cell phone video, and he reveals he is very much alive.
Good evening, it's Ryan Borgwardt. Today, hello, and today is November 11th. It's approximately 7 a.m.
And in that video that was sent to authorities, not only is it confirmed he's not dead, but it doesn't look like he has any intention of coming back home. So the real question on everyone's mind is, why? Why had he done this? In his communications with police, Borgwardt allegedly admitted his entire plan, telling them that he deliberately capsized his kayak in the deep waters of Green Lake. Police revealed the details of that plan in a previous presser.
He stashed an e-bike near the boat launch. He paddled his kayak in a child-sized floating boat out into the lake. He overturned the kayak and dumped his phone in the lake. He paddled the inflatable boat to shore and got on his e-bike and rode through the night to Madison. In Madison, he boarded a bus and went to Detroit and then the Canadian border. He continued on the bus to an airport and got on a plane.
And he apparently told authorities that he made this decision to leave due to, quote, personal matters, but didn't really go into further detail about what that might be. So authorities are now working to verify every part of Borgwardt's elaborate escape plan. And the Sheriff Mark Podol, did indicate in a previous presser that Borgwardt could face several charges, including an obstruction charge.
The information that the Green Lake County has at this point leads us to an obstructing charge. What he did on the lake, staging his death. I cannot comment on the federal charges that may or may not be filed through our federal partners. The second one, and one of the big, most important one, was regarding the amount that Green Lake County will be seeking for restitution. It's in the area of $35,000 to $40,000. These costs do not include what Bruce's legacy did, or our divers, Charlie DeGroot. We're looking at about $7,000 in equipment expenses, that along with the wages.
Now, under Wisconsin law, one of the things obstruction can be is knowingly placing physical evidence with intent to mislead the officer in the performance of his or her duties. So the argument would be that he allegedly staged that scene in all the ways he allegedly did, knowing police would be misled as to what happened to him. Now, putting aside the charges, he might also be ordered to pay for the search efforts. There's a price tag, a restitution price tag that the government is looking for, sitting at over $40,000. And while Borgwardt is being processed in custody, we just can't forget about his family. Now, we don't have a clear understanding about what they're thinking at this point. I mean, just imagine what they might be going through, picking up the pieces of first thinking that this father, this husband was dead, only to find out he is alive and in another country, and he had been planning this? My gosh, it's something that's just even hard to imagine. We will continue to keep our eyes on this one because I think we all want answers. That's all we have for you, though, here on Sidebar. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.